Hi everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing this mesh underbust corset made by Rebel Madness. It might be known as the Boho mesh or the Ocean mesh or Lagoon mesh. If you type in any of those names on Etsy, you'll be able to find this corset. And Rebel Madness is a small brand based in Poland. So without further ado, here's the front, the side, the back, and the other side. For the length and fit of this corset, at the center front here it is 11 inches long. At the princess seam it's 9.5 inches long, and 4 inches are from the waist up and 5.5 inches are from the waist down. At the side seam here it is 10 inches, and in the center back it's 11 inches long again. Today I'm wearing the size small, so this is 22 inches at the waistline when laced completely shut. So when I took this out of the box, I measured it right away before putting it on, and it did measure 22 inches in the waist, so it measured true. The underbust here measured 4 inches up from the waist. This measures 29 inches, so this actually quite well matches my natural underbust. And the hip, about 5 inches down, is 36 inches, so it's a little bit too big for me. What I did was I took the laces and I stuffed it up in the back here so that it actually puts a little bit more bulk underneath the corset, and it helps the hip to fit a little bit better because my natural hip is about 34 inches. This corset originally looked to be drafted with a fairly conical rib cage, but because it's mesh, it is a little bit more flexible than some other corsets, so I don't feel very compressed in the rib cage here. Some people might consider it like it feels a little bit more cupped, even though the silhouette seems to be a little bit more on the conical side. And like I said, there's ample room in the hips for me, so if you're a little bit more pear-shaped, if you have a little bit fuller hips, you might be able to fit this a little bit better than I do. I would wear this over bulkier jeans or maybe a fluffier skirt. And you'll see in a minute or so that the mesh is a good quality polyester corsetry mesh, so it's not the same kind of cotton mesh or fishnet style netting that can expand over time. So even though this might probably stretch a little bit, it's not going to stretch, you know, several inches like the other types of mesh corsets out there. So let's go to the tabletop portion of this review and I can show you the details of this corset close up. Here is the Rebel Madness mesh corset laid flat, and for the materials, as you can see, the mesh panels themselves are a single layer of very strong, good quality synthetic corsetry mesh. And the front and back of this corset have solid fabric. So it has this decorative cotton fashion fabric and a black twill lining, and there is a third interlining in between those two layers. So that is the center front panel, and also the center back panel here has 3 layers of cotton in the back. This is what the Rebel Madness label looks like on the mesh corset. It's really skinny, so you can just hide it on the inside of the binding here. And their bigger tab here is actually by the center front panel, so it's not showing through the mesh. That's really considerate of them, actually, because I've seen a lot of other off-the-rack corsets where they have labels and they don't care whether it shows through the mesh. But this one, size small, corresponds to waist size 22. There's their website address, and there's the country of manufacture, and also the cleaning instructions. Turning this corset to the side, it has a 6-panel pattern: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can see in the first panel that it converges down towards the lower tummy here in the center front, give a little bit more control. There is ample space for the hip. It seems that the ease over the hip was drafted over panel 2, 3, 4, and 5, so it has a lot of room over the hip and is very rounded here. For the construction and the assembly itself, the panels were assembled together with the seam allowances facing outward. So you can see on the inside here, they are assembled together and they have a sturdy top stitch on every single panel. And so the seams were facing outward so as not to scratch the skin, and decorative boning channels were laid down externally here to cover the raw seam allowances. And these are decorative lightweight cotton channels to match the center front of the corset here. I did notice that the fashion fabric is a little bit transparent. You can actually see the bone showing through. When I asked Rebel Madness about this, they said that this was deliberate. They wanted to highlight the transparency of this corset. However, they tested these corsets for 6 months before putting them into production to make sure that they held up over time and the bones did not wear through the fabric or anything. However, I think I might add like a little bit of flossing at the top and bottom edges. It's really pretty and it helps keep the bone in place as well. It might not be necessary if Rebel Madness says that they tested this over time and the bones do not wear through the fabric, but I might add some decorative flossing anyways, just for my own personal preference. Moving on to the waist tape here, you can very plainly see the black waist tape inside. It is about 1 inch wide black Grogan ribbon, and it is a little bit visible through the outside of the corset as well, but it doesn't affect the aesthetics of the corset at all. And it is stitched down on the inside of the corset, as you can see here, and it is secured at every seam between the panels. The binding is commercially purchased black cotton bias binding and is machine stitched on both outside and inside. Tiny top stitch on both outside and inside, which has me believe that they sewed it on in 1 pass instead of 2. And there are no garter tabs in this corset. The Modesty panel in the back of this corset is 6 1/4 inches wide, a little bit over 6 inches wide, and it is unstiffened, but it is suspended on the laces using these grommets at the top and the bottom of the corset here, and it's finished in black cotton twill on the outside and the inside. So when you're lacing up, it does stay centered, which is really nice. It's not like being pushed to one side, but you may notice that you have to stop periodically while lacing up and just straighten it out a little bit because it's not stiffened. And there is also a Modesty placket in the front of the corset. It's about 1/2 inch wide, and it is a little bit stiffened, but it's not boned. It is finished in the same lovely blue lightweight cotton here to match the rest of the corset, so that when you put it together, there's no strange black or a contrasting color that is poking through. So it looks really nice. Now the busk in this corset is a standard flexible busk, and it is 10 inches long with 4 loops and pins, and they're all equidistantly spaced. Additionally, there is a flat steel bone adjacent to the busk on either side, which helps with giving it a bit more stiffness. It helps to reinforce the front and help keep it a little bit flatter. This corset has a total of 16 bones, 8 on each side, not including the front busk here. It's single boned on the seams here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are 1/4 inch wide spiral steel bones, and you can actually see the bones if you kind of look through the decorative fashion fabric here, but they do attract the magnet as well. Additionally, one of the bones by the grommets here are this one here is a spiral steel bone as well, so it's a little bit more flexible. However, this one by the very back edge, that is a flat steel bone, as well as a flat steel bone in the front by the busk here. So you can see that both of these also attract the magnet, and they attract the magnet more strongly. There are a total of 20 grommets in the back of this corset, 10 on each side. They are size 0 with a medium flash around them, and it's finished in this matte black. And I really love these grommets. That was the first thing I probably noticed about this corset when I took it out of the packaging. I was just like, wow, I've never seen this style of grommet before, and it's really cool. Like, it's very flat. It's not like rounded or anything. It's very secure, no damage to the fabric around it, and it holds in extremely securely. And moving the Modesty panel aside so you can see the underside of these grommets here. Nice big washers here, and they've all rolled really nicely. I don't see any splits in these. Well, maybe just like the tiniest split in that one. That doesn't catch on the laces at all because it doesn't really even touch it. They're all holding in extremely well. I don't see any damage around the fabric here. According to the underside, it looks like it might be Prim brand, but I've never seen Prim eyelets that look like this before. So if anybody knows what brand of grommets Rebel Madness uses in their corsets and what machine they use to set it, please let me know, because I'm really impressed with these and I kind of want some for my own. And the laces in this corset are your standard workhorse. So I believe they're made out of nylon. They're black shoelace style laces, 1/4 inch wide. They do have some spring to it, but as you wear this more and more, the spring kind of stretches out and becomes less springy over time. So when you first get the corset, you might find that you need to pull and pull and pull to get it closed because it feels like the laces are stretching a bit, but over time you'll find that happens less and less. They are definitely long enough. They come with plenty of length in it. It glides through the grommets nicely and it holds the knots and the bows well. The Rebel Madness Boho Mesh Corset is available on Etsy for $95 US, and it's available in waist sizes 18 inches up to 28 inches. And this concludes my review of this mesh corset by Rebel Madness. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new. If you did, please remember to click that like button down there as it helps support this channel. If you have any comments or questions about this corset or Rebel Madness in general, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to get back to you or forward your questions over to Rebel Madness. And if you have this corset or another corset by Rebel Madness, leave a comment down below and let us know what you think of it. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you for another video next week. Bye.